All right, let's get started. So thanks, first of all, for joining us. This is an interesting session, and I hope you will find it useful. What we are trying to explain in this session is, how to build your career in the software industry. Every every engineer is very excited when they go into the engineering school, that they want to make a career for themselves. And with great aspirations and great desire, they get started. And but what we see is that not everybody has the same thoughts towards final year. People start to get nervous. Maybe they haven't put up enough hard work, and this fear starts to take over. That how are you going to get a job? So I want to demystify some of these processes today. I will describe to you what industry expects. We will describe the internship program that we are offering you, and we will describe a very simple method through which you can be successful, provided you are interested in putting that much work. You know. And a lot of people who work with us, almost everybody gets a job, provided they have put in the hard work. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So I'll give you a small introduction about myself. So I'm Vineet Mittal. I've been in the industry for way too long, and I've been in some companies like AT&T, RSA, Sun. So I hope some of you understand about AT&T. Anybody knows anything about AT&T? Anybody can speak up and tell me if they understand what these companies have done. Any of the students, please be a little informal. You can talk. Have you guys heard of these companies before?
No, sir, we didn't hear about it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so AT&T actually stands for American Telegraph and Telephone Company. So this is where most of the innovation started, when AT&T invented, everybody knows Graham Bell, I think, who invented the telephone. And this is one company that invented a lot of things, including the modern electronics and computer systems. And then RSA is another company that invented the security systems that you see on the internet. So of course, everybody goes to banks, websites, and see this thing called HTTPS, right? So the SSL protocol and the foundations of it were provided by RSA. And Sun Microsystems, this company no longer exists because it was bought by Oracle. Uh, but this is the company that invented the Java language. Uh, so, so just wanted to share that, these are companies that are very much, in the computing world understood to be the pioneers. I've had the good fortune to be working in these companies. And most recently, my startup has been purchased by Microsoft, and that's where I am right now. I enjoy mentoring young people, and my aim is very simple, that we should reduce the learning curve and bring students closer to good jobs. So what is really happening is that uh, we sometimes teach too many things in India, and with not enough focus. And a student, without actually building a strong foundation, continues to learn more and more difficult subjects, and eventually gets a little bit confused. Whereas on the industry side, our requirements are very simple. We are just looking for somebody with practical experience of writing software programs, somebody who can understand basics of software programming, and somebody who can communicate well. So I'll just go through that in a moment. Okay, so here is my agenda, right? I'll quickly cover some of these things, and please stop me anywhere you want. You can ask me any question, and you know, we want to hear from you. What is that you also want to see? Okay. So what does industry want from students? As I was just discussing with Dr. Gayatri, industry wants very simple things, and although, we learn many things, this is what I want to show you from the industry perspective, the graph. I want you to be excited about this. See, at the entry level, the software engineer that we hire, the salary can range from 2 lakhs to 20 lakhs, right? Now, the question that you may ask is why 2 lakhs and why 20 lakhs and in between? Why such a large variation? The point is that this is one area where actually you can become very rich and very stable if provided it's completely dependent on you. If you are a good engineer, you can get better salaries, right? The salary is directly proportional to your individual knowledge and expertise. And I've regularly hired people for 2 lakhs and I've also paid people 20 lakhs. So we see this big range. And I want to show you this graph, and people with 20 plus years are mostly, now 70 lakhs plus in large companies. That is the kind of salary that people are drawing. So you should be very excited about this because in no other profession in India or abroad, you will see this kind of growth, right? Now, if you understand the value of money, you will understand that, it's a lot of money that you can make, right? So the question is, why don't we do that? Why don't we put in that much hard work, right? So that we can aspire to these careers, right? Can somebody go on mute? Okay. All right. So yeah. So this is a salary curve, and as I'm explaining that, depending on how good you are, even at entry level, right, you can get salaries anywhere from 2 lakhs to 20 lakhs. And I will explain shortly, what is that we are looking for that will get you those 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs, or even 4 lakhs, depending on how good you are at various things. Okay. So let's understand very clearly, what we want from students, right? So essentially, we are looking for problem solvers, people who can, given a problem, code it in, right? So let's say somebody asks you, hey, I want a web-based, student management system, a library management system, or a stock trading system, right? Can you build a stock trading system for me, right? So the question is, can a student, code it out, right? Do you have the confidence of programming in any one of these languages that I've mentioned here? I should add JavaScript to it as well. So that is the number one thing. Have you done anything that gives me confidence that you can program in any of these languages confidently, right? The second thing is, if I already have built some applications, majority of jobs are there to actually fix bugs in those applications. So if I have a lot of code and if I have a lot of application, right, then I'm looking for people who can actually fix bugs in that application. And it's a fairly difficult task. Every day you guys use Windows. Windows is a product that comes out of Microsoft, and Windows has many problems, right, as you all know. So how do you fix bugs in that operating system, right? That is a very prestigious job at my company, right, and many other companies too. So, and for that, the basic skill that you require is, yeah, I should be able to read somebody else's code, right? And the question is, do we do anything in the colleges to read somebody else's code, right? A lot of times we are not reading other people's code. We are not looking at the source code available on GitHub. There are thousands and millions of programs available on GitHub. If you were to spend your time understanding those programs, it will make you very comfortable in programming, or at least give you an ability to read that code, right? Thirdly, are we good at, discussing, designing, working collaboratively? The world has changed, as you know. So these days, uh, at Microsoft, for example, I have a team in China, I have a team in US, I have a team in Australia, right? And everybody collaborates to make something successful. But if you are going to be struggling with communication skills, with language, with writing emails, in understanding other people, or not just having the fluency to discuss, then that becomes a problem in itself. So communication skills are very, very important. And that's why at 1 p.m. we have a small lecture around, describing to you, how communication skills can be also improved. And it is a part of our internship as well. So gaining fluency in languages, right, is very key. Now, some of you may understand that, where are most of the applications being built, right? The web is constantly changing. Mobile world is constantly changing. So the applications that are designed for these platforms are also constantly changing. And hence, a lot of engineers will be required to maintain, manage, create web and mobile applications too, along with many other types of application, right? A new field that is emerging in last few years is ability to code securely, ability to hack things, because world is becoming more digital, and every process that you can imagine is also turning digital. And when that happens, the security and the safety of your business processes and methods are equally important. So that is also emerging as a key area. Okay. Any questions on this slide?
No,
Okay. Okay. Glad that you guys get this. Then another aspect of other than programming languages, which is very, very important, is that one should have a good knowledge of operating system. So by operating system here, I mean, at least between Linux and Windows, at least one of them you should be very comfortable with. I see many students who come for interviews or even in third year, final year, having actually no comfort level in operating system. When I say comfort level, what I mean is being able to do something more useful than what an ordinary user does, right? So suppose I ask you to automate, a task that will download millions of files from different websites, right? You should be able to do that and not just be a regular user and not an end user. I'm not talking about end user skills. I'm talking about skills that you as a developer should have on the operating system. So a lot of people are not comfortable with what an operating system is, and they are not fluent in, automating the operating system tasks for effective use, right? And this translates into very lower developer productivity and very low productivity in general in your software engineering career. So one of the first things that I look for is that, how comfortable you are in running an operating system properly. So many times we find that, this is a central skill that is missing. And in the internship program that we have, every day for a couple of hours, you will be fixing this particular gap in your understanding. And it takes about a month, but after that month, you will see the transformation in yourself in terms of gaining the confidence on the operating system, right? Can some of you tell me, what kind of operating system is inside the Android phones? What is it based on? Anybody wants to say?
Sir, operating system Android?
Yes, but what is Android based on? Is it based on Unix? It is based on Windows? Have you automated Android? Have you tried some shell scripting in Android? Okay, no problem. So Android and iOS both are actually based on Unix operating system, and Linux itself is a variation of Unix. So next time when you look at these operating systems, try to look for command shells, try to look for things that you can do inside the operating system. So that's what I mean, when I say that we know it's Android, but what have we done to actually operate it, right? So it is something that will come to you once you actually gain fluency in these areas. Okay. So I also want to clarify, what we don't expect. I see so many young people losing their career because they sometimes have too high an ambition and something that is very hard to actually meet at the undergrad level. For example, we really don't expect you to be good at any of these things. Now, you will be surprised that I'm telling that to you because you might be thinking that that is where most of the jobs are. Yes, jobs are in all of these areas. But the thing is, we don't look for that skill in you at the final year level. What we look for is a development level skill at this point. once you join the industry, you can learn many other things. But out of the box, we are not expecting that you know big data or machine learning. In fact, you can't, because it is a discipline in itself. You will learn something, but then you cannot claim expertise in it, right? So I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I'm saying that this is not an expectation. The expectation that you will be measured upon in any test or in any interview that you will go is basically operating system, data structures, and software programming. We will not give you a problem to solve on machine learning in the exam. We will not ask you to hack Linux kernel. But yes, if you can type a command on Linux machine, that is good enough for me, right? So just wanted to make this clear, because a lot of people ask this question to me, sir, how can I learn machine learning? It takes time. Don't expect yourself to become an expert in machine learning at undergrad level, right? This is something you will slowly learn over time. But first, become a good developer. That is the most important thing that you can accomplish at the undergrad level. And that's where most of the jobs are. Any question on this one?
Sir, if we learn any of these skills and
Yes.
technology, would it not be considered if we are in the interview and we are claiming that we know these technology?
Okay, so let's take an example, right? Which one do you want to pick?
Artificial intelligence.
Okay. So let's understand what is artificial intelligence mastery requires. So artificial intelligence requires a great deal of understanding of linear algebra, probability, and then it requires a very sophisticated use of modern programming languages, and then it requires the use of modern machine learning algorithms. So the challenge is that if you are failing in the basic test, in the sense that you spend, let's say, much of the final year understanding artificial intelligence, but you're actually struggling to program very fundamental problems, then what do you think I will think about you? You get my point?
Yes, sir.
That is the issue, right? So for example, at entry level, I rarely give engineering students a problem of AI to solve, right? Now, what is an AI problem? An AI problem, for example, I'm myself trying to solve is, okay, can I predict, what Rohit Sharma is going to score tomorrow? Right now, it's a very difficult problem. And I'm not expecting a young engineer to solve that problem. But I will give you another problem, which is say, okay, design me a cricket scoreboard in JavaScript or in Python or in any other language, right? Now, if you can solve that problem, that means you are a decent developer. At some point, I will trust you with AI too. But to get in, I want to first make sure that you know the basics, right? You get the point?
Yes, sir.
Right. I think somebody can please mute people. Okay. Okay, so let us see more. So what is it that industry does not want you to do? I want to spend some time, just 1 minute, on this particular thing. A lot of people are not doing independent problem solving. That is a major challenge that we see. When you don't solve a problem yourself, you are not having the confidence of solving a problem. Your friend solved it, you didn't solve it. And because you didn't solve it yourself, you will struggle in the interview. Right. The second problem is that after people graduate, they leave their college, they go to large cities in search for jobs, and they spend lakhs of rupees without actually building a better base for themselves. That is another problem. You can take a picture of these slides and think over it, because I just want to go a little more fast. Okay. So don't get distracted by language, operating system, or what skill sets. Focus on the basics that will give you the best possible jobs. So I'm repeatedly making this point. So again, what is that we want you to know? We want you to know, have good analytical, mathematical, and design skills. And this is something I'm counting that your college has done for you, that you have been able to gain some mathematical skills, right? The second thing is that you have an experience of reading code. And if you don't have, then we definitely should have urgently have to fix this problem, right? And you should have either built a web or mobile application independently. If not, then the internship will help you build that. We'll also take you through databases. So understanding data, programming, some basic data structures, and ability to read lots of code. If you know these things, you're likely to get a job. Okay, so one last time I will say the problem that we have seen. This is what we call as a knowledge gap taxonomy, right? In soft skills in India, we have these problems. And uh, oral communication does not mean just speaking English. Oral communication means being able to communicate properly, right? What you want, right? And written communication. So that presentation is just coming right after my presentation, and you will see some aspects of it, right? And software engineering practices mean not just code, ability to discuss design, ability to test your software, right? All of these are very relevant. Okay. So, and ability to discuss requirement, right? For example, banana kya hai, right? I'm speaking in Hindi for a moment. Many times there is this problem in software industry. Okay, I want to build a software application, but who is going to write the requirements? So sometimes you may think that only coding is required, but there are many other aspects of software engineering that are equally relevant, and all of these you become better at it, because if you work with us in the internship program, you will start to design, you will write requirements, you will design some application, you will write some code, and then things become better. And as I said, some basic concepts of computer science and software tools are a must, right? So we rigorously take you through all of these things. That this is the knowledge gap that exists, right? And it takes about 3 to 6 months to fix this problem. And after that, getting a job is not a problem. Okay. So I'll just skip some of these slides. I want to share you where the jobs are, right? They are either, most jobs are in computing, then in data skills, and then in system skills. So you can decide, which of these buckets you want to join, right? These are development oriented jobs. These are data oriented jobs, but with some development and some other kinds of skills. And then you have system skills, where I told you the deep expertise in operating system. If you have system administration, these are equally good jobs too. And now these things, with these three buckets, you should be able to cover 80–90% of the jobs that are out there. So that is one fundamental decision which you may not be able to make, but as you go through the internship program, we will let you know and give you feedback as which stream of discipline might be more useful for you, right? So it is good to know yourself as well and your own interest, but some evaluation with some feedback, it is important to figure out which of these three buckets at a high level you fit in, right? Okay, I've just mentioned this, but the whole idea to demonstrate to you is that some jobs are easy to get, some are difficult. But think about, the development jobs, they're always continuing to be in plenty. Support jobs are plenty, right? Mobile web applications, these jobs are in plenty. Okay. Now, what should be your strategy? You should be thinking, if you become a good developer, then you have maximum jobs possible to you, right? Then the second is the data engineer, somebody who understands data, who can work with data. That's the next level. And lastly, the system engineer. System engineering jobs are somewhat less than the other jobs, but they pay equally well. And there are various disciplines that you, within system engineering, that you can get into, right? And then there are niche careers. As I said, we also train people in cybersecurity, data science, AI, but those disciplines come slowly. Important thing is to first understand the basics of software programming. I can give you a problem in Python, to solve, as I said, write me an algorithm that will make a very good trade at the stock market, right? It's a machine learning problem. But to do that, you will need not just programming skills, but a lot of mathematical skills. So with time, you can learn those things as well. Okay, so now the question is, how do you get there, right? So typically in India, the industry does a lot of campus hiring, but that depends on college location, reputation, and many other factors. Second is academic excellence. A lot of industry has open batches, online exams. If you qualify those, you can get there. And the last two techniques are what we are representing, because we have some control and interest over it. That if you work with us, we help you sort of, you can gain a lot of proof of your practical knowledge, right? You can do projects, industry can understand your code, you can certify. And there, once you go through this process, there will be people in the industry who will understand you well, and they will constantly get you interviews, or they will get you mentors, or you will become a part of a knowledge network, right? And that's how you also get the better jobs, right? So these are two things that you can take help. The first two are dependent on you and your college, right? More importantly, if you are not able to get through these techniques, then it's important that you fix the problem. If you get a job here, doesn't mean you got the best jobs, right? The best jobs will also come if you are becoming good in certain areas. So this is our process, and I'll give you this one last slide. So so here is our internship plan, right? This is a whole semester plan, and what we do is in the first 2 months we fix your programming language skills, basic development skills, get you into good habits of writing lots of program. We also give you many problems that you have to think independently. So in 2 months, what we see is that person will become very good at operating systems and very fluent in few languages. And the fluency that we teach is different than the others because we are focused on practical problem solving. I give you one example of writing a cricket scoreboard. Now this program, I will expect that people can write in 3-4 days, right? And this program then gets evaluated. A lot of people look at it. You get code reviews, you get feedback, right? And that is very important for your growth, because unless you know whether you've written a good code or not, you will not be successful in writing it. We also give out web and mobile application development projects, which you will do for 2 to 3 months. And throughout this, these are weekly iterations, and in every week you will be asked to submit one version of your program. That version of the program, the objectives will be set, you will be collaborating, and everybody is an individual coder. We don't expect you to work in groups at all. We want every student to be independently comfortable. So it's a one-on-one kind of focus. People work in small classrooms with us, like 10, 15 people at one point, but every individual developer will have slightly different project and he has to work on it independently. So this is very important, right? And having your code, consult with people, you will be getting a lot of help. Suppose you are stuck somewhere, you can talk to people. And once we see how you are performing, then we start to recommend you for certain kinds of jobs. We start to qualify and think whether you will be fit in this company or in that company. And along the way, one module that will always be with you is the good communication skills, both verbal and written. And my colleague Govind, who will be presenting after me, will describe to you what this means and how you can get there, right? And once you do these things for 6 months with us, right, what happens is that you will get a lot of interviews through us and the kind of resume that we would have designed for you by that time. But if you don't work hard, we will tell you that you should drop out, right? Because this program is for people who want to build their career once and for all in life. You want that 3 lakhs to 20 lakh rupee job, you get an engagement going, and we will help you get there. But if you don't take that direction, the cost that you will pay at this time is enormous, actually. So I sincerely request you to take this program seriously, whoever is planning to join, and then commit to it, right? Because a beautiful world awaits you after that. So I wanted to share this with you, and maybe I'll show you one. I have many case studies, but one that stands out is this one. So this person actually, in intermediate got third class, I think, 46%, right? And somehow he got into engineering college, and he did reasonably okay there, but he was not getting jobs anywhere because everybody would reject him because of this red mark in his career, right? So what we did was we started initially with him for good Java development, and then we realized that he's not such a good developer. When we realized that, we put him into the cybersecurity side, right? And then he became a very good cybersecurity professional. In 4 months, he's got exceptional jobs. The last time I checked, he was at PwC, and I think most recently I'm hearing he's at 7 to 10 lakh level, right? So this slide is slightly old. And many engineers who came to study for this course actually became very good engineers, and all have got very, very good jobs. So, and I'd never considered any of these factors. I don't look at your high school marks. I don't look at your intermediate. I don't even look at your BTech marks. I just look at a candidate who now has realized that he wants to build his career. From now and for next 6 months, he will sit down and he will work with us and he will be transformed, right? If you are ready to make that commitment, then this program is for you. So that's where I want to end. Let's open up for questions, and then I give it to Govind.
Yes, students, please ask if you are having any query.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
My question is, you are talking about basic skills, right? What kind of basic skill, like if we are concentrated towards a programming language, should we go towards Java or towards the Python?
Yes, very good question. So whichever programming language you are comfortable with, we should understand that Java is right now 25 years old, right? So most of the software applications that are written are already written in Java. The modern new application development is beginning to happen in Python. Python is growing very rapidly. So in our 6 months, you will be learning both actually. Actually, three languages is what we focus on, as I mentioned in the beginning: Java, Python, and JavaScript. Okay, so I encourage people to be good at Python too, because Python is a language that is very suitable for automation as well as software development. If you talk about myself, for last 20 years, I programmed every single day in Java. And in last few years, I find myself writing more code, more and more code in Python, because there are new libraries, there are no new data visualization that we see. And in general, Python has taken the friction of developing software for data intensive problems and has solved that problem. But Python is not that great for web applications. For web applications, we are back to some Java things or to JavaScript, right? So the answer that I want to give you is that it's no longer sufficient to say one, but yes, you should be very good at one. So let's say you are already very comfortable in Java, then in that situation, most of the software code that you will be writing in the internship, you should write it in Java. But also explore the Python modules, because that will be anyway easier, but using Python, you can explore some data science kind of software along more easily. Do you get my answer?
Okay, sir.
But when you come for interview, we will see that, for example, we will not ask you whether you know Python or Java. We will ask you whether you understand what is object-oriented programming. Can you write an object-oriented design in Java and in any language of your choice, right? That is what we will examine. So if you can demonstrate to us that you can write a piece of code in any software language, we are quite fine with it, right? Second point is, which I was telling earlier, that in the internship, there will be a lot of emphasis on writing shell scripts, operating system level comfort as well. And when I say programming knowledge expertise in Java, I'm talking about very deep expertise. So a lot of times when people come for internship, what happens is that they have done some Java, but they have not done the Java the way industry wants to see it. I see lack of object orientedness. People don't decompose their problems clearly. There is lack of practice. For example, nobody knows about file IO. Nobody has done anything on network IO. So there are many, many aspects of these problems that you will be fixing in the internship program. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Go ahead, please. More questions.
Yes, any other questions? See, students?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
So my question is how we can get in this internship?
Yes, actually, we have Pankaj here, Pankaj Chahal, he will be talking to you. We used to take tests earlier, but, I think already Pankaj was telling me that he's very convinced that people have done decent job in terms of studying the basics of languages. So Pankaj Chahal will be coordinating this effort along with Dr. Gayatri, and we'll figure out how to get you in.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other? Thank you, sir, for such enlightening session.
Yeah, please stay
Grateful to
along.
you.
Please stay
Yes, sir.
along because
Yes,
there is
sir.
one more session for the English language,
Yes,
and
sir.
I
Yes,
want.
sir. I know.
Yeah,
Pankaj sir will. Yes, Pankaj sir will handle the session. No? Next session.
the next session will be by Govind. He will be introducing the module. Govind, over to you.
Uh, hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?